All right. Good morning and welcome to this session on the now and tomorrow of Earth observation. I'm Benoit and just need to figure out the technology here. Great. I'm Benoit and I'm running startup programs for Earth observation startups, and I'm part of the FIRE team today here to present you conclusions of our work together with.
Yes, I'm Ornella. I'm also part of the FIRE Forum team, and I'm also here with the Evangelists that helped us to achieve this. Yes.
Yeah, we have together with us our FIRE EO Evangelists, and specifically for the marine and maritime sector, we have Eva Haas, who's head of strategic accounts at EO Map, and Juan Peña, who is the CEO of Orbital EOS. They're with us virtually today. To continue? And we also have with us Irene Benito, who is the Senior Manager of EU Affairs at Planet for raw materials, as well as Ilias Pechlivanidis, who is our EO Evangelist for agriculture and is also Senior Researcher at the Swedish Meteorological and Hydrological Institute. In next place, we also have Miriam Gonzalez with us online, virtually, and she's Partnership and Outreach Manager at Up42. And we have two more EO Evangelists with us today in our panel, and that is Remco Timmermans, who is an independent space marketeer and specialist, and also Lucy Kennedy, the CEO of Spotted. Nice to have you all here, and thank you very much for coming today here to Brussels and also joining us online. We are going to talk today about the now and the future of Earth observation. And the start of that is a journey we went through with the FIRE Forum. And with the FIRE Forum, we went into a question about the EO adoption paradox. And our paradox is the following. There's a lot of work still to be done in Earth observation, improving the satellite constellations, improving the data, improving the processing technology. There's new applications to be developed. But for many use cases, the data is already there on the market, and the technology to process it is already demonstrated. The business case is clear-cut and the capital is available. So for these cases, why don't we see them, let's say, all around us in practice? Why aren't they everywhere in today's world? That's the paradox we started with, and we went doing a bit more research on that. Next slide, please. Why don't we have this mass adoption yet? If we currently look at a number of these new applications, we see they're at the very, very start of the adoption curve. So we were thinking about the key questions. What are the barriers that are keeping organizations from implementing Earth observation and from starting to use Earth observation in their operations and their planning and their whole business life cycle, and how can organizations overcome these barriers? So these were some of the key questions that we set out with in the FIRE Forum to investigate.
So our methodology started by identifying 6 sectors. These sectors are ranging from agriculture to marine, infrastructure, raw materials, wind energy, and urban development. In these sectors, we organize focus groups, and these focus groups, we asked 3 questions. So what is the current status of Earth observation, how's the maturity level? Then we asked, what is the future perspective of it? And on hand from these discussions, we created some action plans for accelerating the uptake of EO in the future.
Exactly. And today we're here to present some of the results that we got from our fire focus groups, from these numerous interactions with participants from these 6 focus sectors. But we'd also love to get your input on that. And that's why we have set up a Slido question that should be on the screen now that you can go and access. And if throughout this session you have yourself some very concrete ideas on how we can increase and accelerate the adoption of Earth observation in our 6 sectors, please do and type it and leave it in there. This will be super valuable input for us to take forward. You can always give a little explanation of the action that you think of and also indicate which sector it would be particularly relevant for. But now we have our first speaker, or first pair actually of EO Evangelists, and Eva and Juan are going to introduce you to what are our findings for the marine and maritime sectors. Eva and Juan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and a warm welcome and good morning from Munich in my case. And I'm sharing this presentation with my fellow Maritime EO Evangelist, Juan Peña. I'm Eva Haas, the Marine Evangelist. And exactly, we're starting, I think, the next slide. So at least I do not see it yet. Our maritime and marine now and tomorrow. Here we go. Thank you. Yeah, and we have the pleasure to discuss with you and report back on the discussions we had on the now and the tomorrow of Earth observation for our sectors. And I would like to start my presentation, the next slide, with a question to the audience. When you see this image, this picture, do you feel this is the now? Or do you feel this is, wow, this is more the future and a dream? Well, if you think this is the now, that means you get all the information about the ocean ready to use in your environment, at your hands, in your working environment, may it be a mobile phone app or your PC. Well, then I'm personally very happy, and I think my colleagues as well, because that means that you are already using the wealth of Copernicus information that is available for the marine environment, and you're getting it ready to use in your work environment. And this also means you might work together with the EO industry service provider that helps you to get also value-added products tailored to your needs. If this is still a dream for you or the tomorrow, well, be assured the EO industry is working hard to make this a reality. In the next slide, and this is, of course, a question that I have not only asked you now, but that the Fire Focus Group has asked to key stakeholders in the sector. And we started with a question of the benefits, and we were very pleased to hear that there is a lot in for the customers. Very good and important to know for us, there is an increased operational efficiency. I think that's obvious when you know the potential of Earth observation in the sector. And an example that also shows how you can be more competitive, I think, is the in situ versus the Earth observation world. You have very performant in situ networks, but if you spice it up with Earth observation data, you can be definitely more competitive, than other companies, and you can add value to your current products. Another important point is that you can meet regulatory requirements. Earth observation is, as I think you all know, unbiased and objective, so very ideal to report on large areas in a very objective way. Altogether, this is reducing costs, but also uncertainties and risks, which brings us to what is most important for our customers. It's to increase their revenues. This is all possible today, but we are also looking forward and are pleased that with new constellations, new capabilities will be deployed. And in the following years, we know that there are going to be numerous opportunities for unlocking new markets and answering these needs that at the moment and questions that at the moment cannot maybe be solved. So we wanted to dive a bit deeper, and in the next slide you will see that we have asked more dedicated questions to the group. The one question was how they perceive the maturity of EO products, services, and solutions. And you see that some perceive it already as very high, others as very low, and the majority perceives it as average. So of course, something to do here and definitely room to improve. Obviously, the solutions that exist on the market are not, and I would say yet, matched to these subsectors and their needs. There are many good solutions out there, but it can be definitely improved. So the EO industry should put more effort in understanding the specific problems and also create solutions that really solve them. So data services are often not so easy to be used by stakeholders. That means you might have the right information, but you need to make it accessible. And I'm coming back to the image that I showed in the beginning. It has to be super easy to use at the hand of the customer. And that brings me to the second topic, which was the need of more adoption of EO products, services, and solutions. Well, often it's the lack of technical capabilities to work with geospatial data and the difficulty to understand the data. Question here is, does a customer have to actually be an Earth observation expert to use the data? I guess not. So also here, we should listen careful and also understand more what the customers really need and what solutions we can offer as EO sector, because there seems to be a certain disconnection still. Another point that is very important here is that we are going to scale. So we would like to, of course, bring solutions in the market that are accessible to many. But at the same time, the EO industry has to be also very careful that they are still customized enough, that people really feel there is an added value for them personally and not just some general data sets. The next slide has a closer look to the what actually holds back these organizations that we talk to use Earth observation. The good thing is they have enough reasons to use EO. So I think that's very good to know that people really see the benefit of EO. Also very nice to see is that people are highly motivated to use Earth observation. So it's not the reasons and not the motivation. But again, here we get the answer that they do not have the ability to use Earth observation. And that's the conclusion of the, let's say, this first and the current perspective that we looked at, that the EO industry has to provide solutions that do not require the customers to have EO capabilities in-house to implement them. So this is where the homework for the EO industry lies, and that we really give everybody at hand what they need. With this, I'm handing over to Juan, who has a look to the future, and I can already tell you it is bright.
Thank you very much, Eva. Pleasure to meet you all. My name is Juan Peña. I am the EO Evangelist for Maritime. And as Eva was sharing, let's take a look at the future and the real future according to what potential users say tell us. So let's talk a little bit about potential applications in the real world. So there's an ecosystem of stakeholders that need to detect large and small vessels at sea in near real time, so very, very fast for operational needs. And the key question here is very fast, something that unfortunately is not really met in the market using Copernicus data or other private satellite data. So why do they need this? They need this to detect illegal activities at sea and also for search and rescue operations. So next, please. Okay, then another real need that we have found in the market, decision support tools for offshore renewable energy. Again, we're talking about green future, about a better future that Earth observation can enable. Next, please. So they would need this in the planning, operation, and decommissioning phase, so we could really help them in the whole supply chain of renewable energy using Earth observation data. Another need that we found is real-time forecast, so local currents, waves, wind at high spatial resolution. And again, a problem that is not really solved now, but potentially Earth observation can address. And then talking about the future again, about the green future, we have the need to estimate carbon sequestration. So why not, next please, why not developing tools that can promote ocean-based carbon offsetting, not only forest, but also ocean-based carbon offsetting, something that is very promising. So what are the drivers for Earth observation user uptake? So we would have necessary conditions and then supporting factors. The necessary conditions would include, first of all, a transparent data market. So the users have a clear understanding of what's there, what is the price, what is the availability. Currently, it's very complex to explain Earth observation technology to the users. And then, as Eva was mentioning, do it super easy. We talk about the Amazon paradigm. So Earth observation is easy to consume and solves a real problem. Then what supporting factors we have in our ecosystem to make this happen? Well, first of all, as a society, we need to understand and measure climate change. Definitely our future is at stake here, so it's a real and urgent need. Fortunately, we have the support of very relevant actors like the European Space Agency and the European Commission. Then we have the advocacy and promotion of the whole sector. And we have also Earth observation friendly regulation that can support us in the user uptake. So we can go now to the next slide. So key actions that were agreed in the focus groups to accelerate adoption. So the first one would be to develop a reference playbook with guidelines on how maritime and marine companies can start using Earth observation to their benefit. Then explain that the green shipping is not only about green, but also about smart. So digitalization of the whole supply chain. And let's remember that Earth observation is digital from the very beginning. So data is digital, it's not paper anymore. We can go next slide, please. And then the last two key actions that were agreed is to create decision support tools to decision makers based on EO data that help, of course, take quick decisions, and then have the support of funding and to develop advanced EO-based solutions for oceanographic data sets that will enable new applications. Next, please. So as a summary, let's say the big conclusion that we got from this conversation with end users and with promoters of Earth observation is that we have to get even closer to the customer. It's not about technology, it's about understanding problems. So let's start with the problem and then try to find a solution for the problem. Make it easy as the weather forecast. So this is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Eva, for your lovely insights. I'm also now going to give the word to Irene Benito, who's going to represent the raw materials sector. floor is yours.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I might go a bit off track because I can't see the slides at all. But as has been kindly introduced, my name is Irene Benito, and I'm the Earth Observation Evangelist for raw materials. This is a position that I hold because of my dual experience in both sectors. So I come currently from Planet, where I work in European affairs. But previously, I was working at EIT Raw Materials, which is the largest consortium of raw materials actors in the world. And there I was leading a program called Raw Materials Copernicus, aimed at increasing the uptake of Earth observation, specifically Copernicus data, in the raw materials industries. So without further ado, I'm going to present the results of an expert focus group we had in February. There we go. Okay, so actually, does this work? Okay, well, this is the third slide, but I'm firstly going to present the current status, so how our experts view the benefits of Earth observation in the raw materials sector and what's the current level of adoption. It's important to bear in mind, of course, that these are experts in the field, which means that, of course, they have greater exposure to technological advancements outside of raw materials. So of course they have a greater awareness of the benefits of Earth observation than your average raw material stakeholder. But of course it's very important for us because then it can inform the work of the expert group. So in terms of benefits, a plethora of benefits were identified. It's important to highlight that Earth observation was seen as incredibly valuable across the whole value chain of raw materials, starting from exploration, extraction, closure, post-closure, and, sorry, I'm too close, I think, and remining of materials. For example, in the exploration phase of the life cycle, there are huge efficiency gains to be seen to increase the success rate of exploration campaigns. I don't know if you know, but exploration campaigns have a failure rate of 99%. So with geological mapping and with geographical mapping, trying to identify remotely before a campaign actually is deployed in the field, areas of high potential for mineral deposits could be extremely beneficial and increase this 1% success rate a bit, hopefully. Double it, yeah, to 2%. Another key area which was identified as of high potential was on the area, again, like it was mentioned by my maritime colleagues, environmental regulation applications. So both on the government side, with this transparent and objective data, governments and the public sector can really improve the implementation and the enforcement of environmental regulations, but also on the business side, where the data can help improve efficiency in reporting and also efficiency in environmental impact assessment. I don't know. Okay, yeah. However, with these enormous benefits and enormous potential, where are we today? I can't read the quotes, but I know that applications are actually not completely tailor-made to the sector, and therefore adoption is not very high. There is a high perceived barrier to adoption because of the cost of switching technologies. In the sector, we see people and actors seeing Earth observation-based solutions as competitors to current ways of working, and thus there is this switching cost. There's also low awareness in the sector of what Earth observation can do for the industry, as well as a low level of technical capacity. We also see curricula and academic programs leading to careers in raw materials having very, very little content related to Earth observation. So this really decreases the awareness and the technical capacity in the sector. However, all of our experts, including myself, fully agree that those companies and those service providers that succeed in providing tailor-made and turnkey solutions for the sector will find a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So there's a lot of hope and a lot of gains to be made. Okay, I keep skipping slides, but okay. So in the future, where do we think we can go and where do we hope we can go? As I mentioned, there are huge benefits across the value chain of introducing Earth observation for mining. And these benefits hopefully will be translated into adoption in the future. So I already mentioned geological mapping for exploration campaigns. I mentioned environmental impact monitoring. There are a lot, I mean, I don't have to explain to this audience, but of course, looking at indicators such as vegetation stress, dust dispersion, water quality within and outside of mines. I mean, we have large mapping capacity with Earth observation tools is very, very important, and it will be a big area of work. Stockpile measurements, this is for operational efficiency in mines to increase the efficiency of operations, but also, of course, for market intelligence. We're looking at stock traders that want to look at global supplies of specific commodities, and information on stockpiles globally can be extremely useful. And finally, safety and security. This is actually one of the areas which is most developed and most tested, especially with radar technologies, always with in situ sensors, of course. However, a lot of adoption is still necessary. Looking at stability of open pit mines, looking at stability of tailing dams is very, very important, because accidents can have catastrophic consequences, not only in terms of material, but also of lives lost. And I think probably like a couple of examples come to mind, the Brumadinho dam disaster, which took the lives of hundreds. And here, radar-based technologies can really be super useful for early detection mechanisms and solutions. But if we want to go there, we have some necessary and some suggested steps that we need to take. I'm only going to mention two, but in terms of a necessary condition, we need more communication and more inflow of information between both the Earth observation and the raw materials sector. I think that's clear, but it's important to highlight. We cannot have developers from Earth observation creating solutions without having field knowledge. So we need displacements of Earth observation experts in the field, in mines, to really understand the needs and be able to develop these turnkey, specific, end-to-end solutions. Big mining companies normally have geospatial knowledge, but when we look at second tier and at smaller companies, they have IT departments which have very little knowledge of Earth observation and definitely very little time to take up the data. So they will need end-to-end solutions, and we need to be able to provide them if we want to face a future where EO is applied throughout the board. Okay, sorry. And a couple of suggestions of how to do this. Free trials, especially for these mid to low range companies. This can demonstrate the business potential and the business value of integrating Earth observation solutions, and really act as a catch to lower this barrier for adoption and for switching technologies. Another example, which was proposed by the experts, were mining safaris, a concept I have actually never heard in my life, but sounds very fun. And basically it encompasses all these type of field activities where you can have placements with industry, you can have hackathons happening at mines, and just a stronger interaction. And my final slide, and these are the two figures I want to leave everyone with. These are 2020 figures. Unfortunately, 2021 numbers are not yet available, but the 115.9 billion corresponds to the revenue of the top 40 EMEA mining companies in 2020. This is a lot of money. And 16% is the revenue growth between 2019 and 2020. The sector has really come out of the pandemic very, very strong, not only in terms of revenues, but also in terms of operational efficiency. There's a lot of gains to be made, and the Earth observation sector should really take advantage of it. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene, and for leaving us with these interesting figures. It indeed seems that there is a pot of gold waiting at the end of the rainbow for those being able to provide tailor-made solutions. I'll now give the floor to Ilias, who's gonna tell us a bit more about the results from our agriculture workshop.
Thank you. I just stand up because I cannot see also, although I wear glasses. So I've been working with Earth observations for close to a decade now for applications in the water-related sectors, but I've been very much prone with the idea of, like, I could actually, instead of being in the field and conducting very expensive experiments and being also time-consuming experiments, but still be remote and have access to information at very fine, spatial, and temporal resolution. And Earth observation is actually bringing this technology, allowing us to move from a normal business to something that is innovative one. And I'll be giving you also summary, as the previous evangelist, about the present and the future for Earth observations for the sector of agriculture. So actually, what is the objective at the end of the day is to make economical benefits. And how to do that? First, we have to reorganize the companies. We have to achieve environmental and climate goals. And also we have to make the efficiency and the operations. We have to increase that. And how do we do that? Nowadays, we have access to raw information, or we can work with other type of knowledge brokers to get something tailored for the field. We have information in space at very fine spatial temporal resolution, and we also can work with the hot topic of machine learning to make something very tailored for us. Then it's also, we are dealing with uncertainties and risk, and we have the global challenges. Climate change is there, population growth is there, we have loss of biodiversity. And of course, by introducing a business based on Earth observations, we could reduce these uncertainties and we can address these risks. At the end of the day, we have to meet the regulatory requirements, and we have to enable new products and services, because we are working on transition to climate neutral, and hoping by doing all of that, we can have economical benefits for our businesses. Good. Again, similar type of focus groups took place. Some results are there. The Earth observations, the state of the Earth observations for the agricultural sector is actually more advanced in comparison to the other sectors. We see that most of the responses there, that there's an average awareness concerning the Earth capabilities. But the good thing is that nowadays the different services and products, they are reliable for some of the variables, and therefore the sector needs to uptake these new data sets. And we have also the new generation of hyperspectral image satellites constellations. So this is a hot topic as well. But the drawback there is that we need to better understand the value of the Earth observations and what is the economical impact to the business. And I think this is kind of like a communication gap between the research and the technology, and also with our users. So we need to invest more on awareness and education. And we need to make this link between the industry, the farmers, and the policymakers. And I have a suggestion for that a little bit later. So whoever is out there working with research and technologies, please disseminate the potential for the sector. So what holds back the organization? See, from the results here, you would see that there are reasons for investing on Earth observations, and there's also motivation. What is lacking, a little bit behind, is actually the ability to use the Earth observations. And therefore, we need, again, to invest of case studies, of showcases, where we demonstrate that the different organizations can have an added value from the EO uptake. Some of the different applications, the common agricultural policies is there. We could build tools for that, that allows us to actually pinpoint at the areas that we could do the crop classification. And by also doing kind of like continuous common agricultural policy monitoring, then we could have the history of the different crops. We could have the seasonal, interannual trends. We also have the environmental impact monitoring. We have precision farming, and this is very, very much important because you could do monitoring at fine spatial resolution and also forecasting of the yield. We have the agricultural financing. So in the case of an extreme event, you could have damage assessment. You could build a different type of indicators for vulnerability and so on. And you could build tools for agricultural financing. There's also more involvement of advisory and professional services firms. This is something very much important. And of course, the different applications have to maximize the crop yield, use of these sources, and also the sustainability factors. Again, there are necessity conditions. There are some listed over there. I will focus on few. We need to access on in situ data. There's data security. Some of the data out there are confidential, so we have to secure those. And we also need to bring knowledge and awareness about EO and its benefits. And there are also some supporting factors over there. The good thing is that the users can get the certifications. We need grants for implementation enablers and also combining different data sources. So some key actions to accelerate the adoption. It's this role of implementer. Actually, I call them knowledge brokers or service purveyors. And these are the people that they understand the needs in the sector. They know also the state of the art when it comes to research and technology, and they can actually work on narrowing the communication gap. And last is actually the marketplace of challenges. We know that there are challenges there. We just need good examples indicating the benefits. And also we need to work in a community of practice where this knowledge is actually transferred from one to another. So just to conclude, I think there are good messages out there. If you want to become, to share the good news as I do, please do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilias. I'm really excited to see how EO will transform the future of agriculture. So next is Miriam Gonzalez. She's joining us virtually, and she will talk about the wind energy sector. The floor is yours.
Thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam Gonzalez, as you already hear. I'm Senior Partnership and Outreach Manager and Out42. So I have been in geospatial for around 12 years, but most recently Air Observation for the last 3 years. I'm very happy to present today as Air Observation Evangelist. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. No, a previous one, sorry. I think it's kind of slow in my screen. Yes, thank you. So I will divide the presentation as my colleagues in two parts. Where are we standing today in Air Observation for wind energy, and also what is the future taking us? So we have seen this before for different industries, so I will share with you how we saw it also in the workshop and focus group that we did back in early March. It was my first time participating in this focus group, but the second time I was able to read all the reports, and I think, I mean, we still have a long way to go, but we are already having really nice advances, I will say. So regarding where we're starting today in the industry, we already see how Air Observation is considered, is unlocking already new opportunities for new markets and also new segments. How this innovation is leading to enable new products, new services, and of course, is already right now something used for improving the operation in the wind farms and on some other areas in wind energy. So at this moment, we see how these tools can be used for optimizing, for example, decision-making process. Of course, I mean, defining where wind farm should be located, also the forecast and planning of energy production, and of course, the emergency management that we'll be discussing a bit further in the presentation. One of the main points, I mean, of course, climate neutral is one of the main topics, but of course, how we can also make sure that revenue is also in the top of the list for the investors. So this is also one topic, I mean, it will be really relevant. And of course, something that needs to be adopted in the future is how Air Observation is not yet eligible as a measurement tool by regulatory instances. Next slide, please. So in the focus group, we did different questions, and two questions that you can see here. It was, how do you perceive the maturity of Air Observation products, services, and solutions? In the case of wind energy, it's really interesting to see that it's still perceived as low or maybe average. So there is still a lot to be improved in this right here. So at this moment, it's still like data sets are not well integrated. They are not working together. That's why, I mean, there is this nice phrase saying, what about the marriage between the data? So there is a long story already happening by using weather data for wind with energy, but also there's a limited use at this point for atmospheric and also seismographic data. So at this moment, maybe there is not yet available the resolution needed, or maybe the revisit time, or how else we can do to be able to combine all this data with what is happening right now in the current methods and solution, and what can be also adapted and complemented with what is happening with Earth observation. So we have a really next problem right now to have, I mean, all the constellations that we have right now with open data from the Copernicus programs and other programs, all the constellations already commercial in space, from Planet, from ISI, from Satellogic, for Head Aerospace, so many companies, commercial options that can be complemented also for this. But we don't have armies and armies and armies of human eyes to be able to analyze all this data. So we really need more and more machine learning and also AI solutions to be able to measure and analyze all this data coming into Earth every day. So this will be also supporting a lot how we can targeting today's challenges and also solve future challenges for all the new offshore wind farm systems coming in the future. Next slide, please. So what is holding back the organizations to use Earth observation? The good thing is that according to the focus group and some interviews also done in parallel of the focus group, it seems to be that the adoption is kind of is aware. I mean, people has the ability, people has the motivation, people has the reason to be able to use it, but then there is still a lack of decisive factors to invest in Earth observation, because in the case of wind energy, still there is a lot way to go regarding awareness, regarding investment, regarding different factors. Next slide, please. So how we see the future of Earth observation applications, I would say here, I mean, mainly 3 points. One thing will be how we can, and this is linked also about what I said before regarding machine learning and AI solutions, how we can make sure that we can develop highly accurate supply and demand prediction models in the ones we can take full advantage of all the data available right now in the markets. Also, how we can also create this kind of full coverage for extreme weather events that can support to be ahead of the curve regarding extreme weather events that can affect infrastructure and also can affect the people working in sites in these places. And the third point is, of course, how we can be supporting the development of more areas offshore that are not really close to the shorelines to be building new wind farms. Next slide, please. So there are a few elements in the roadmap that can be also used for the future of Earth observation. So one is kind of the necessary conditions that people was more eager, I mean, to explain. So one is the validation of data accuracy and granularity. And this is really familiar with what I have been done in the past as volunteer of open data and open data advocate. So one of the main concerns of many of the people who were the end users of the data is how we know this data is accurate, how we know this data has the quality we need, how we can validate this is really what will be giving the analytics we need. So this is something we really make sure that we communicate it the right way, and also we can have the ability to the people or capacity building so they can take advantage of this data. Second point is integration of data sets. So the good thing is right now more and more I hear about the cloud native geospatial technologies, all the OGC efforts that are happening right now to educate more people about how we can do interoperability, how we can reuse data sets, how we can work together in order to make benefits that will be solving our challenges. So that's more and more coming, I would say. And there's still a long way to go. And third one is how we can provide assurance on the investments. Of course, investors, they want to see apply their money in certain projects in the ones they can assure also that they will be getting the return of the investment. And some supporting factors, I mean, so if we have something budget for experimentation or creating pilot projects, we'll be also supporting a lot and what can be developed for the future. Showcasing successful stories, of course, I will be giving you a couple of things. Awareness about what is happening, what else can be used to be able to improve your own projects, and also what else can be done in the industry that is still right there is a niche or maybe there's a gap that can be fulfilled by your projects. And the third one is also we need to make sure that the people who is already doing these wind energy projects already is using Earth observation as a default option for some of the operations they are having right now. Next one, please. And the key actions to accelerate this adoption according to the focus group. One is having more proof technology studies in the ones we can have more observation solutions for the wind energy sector. That's one point. And for me, one really relevant will be how we can build this pre-commercial procurement on an industry level, in the one we can put together all these participants in the industry, and they can work together in putting certain funds in the ones. They can have these open calls for pilot projects, and also at the same time, they make sure that this pilot project will be having already people interested to buying these solutions. So that way we can all together work towards Europe in neutral for the year 2030. The next one, please. So that's my presentation. Thanks a lot. And if you want to discuss further outside of the event, I'm happy to participate in any conversation, and we can build the future climate neutral together. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Miriam, for sharing these insights with us about the wind energy sector. And from wind and energy, we're going to the built environment as the next two sectors that we will be talking about are the urban development and infrastructure. And first, Remco Timmermans is going to introduce us to how Earth observation looks now and in the future in the urban development sector.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. The urban environment really is about all of us. We all live in cities, and this is really about the well-being of all of us living in cities. So this is not focused at urban planners or urban managers, but really towards all of us. I'm also going to take a little more critical view at things. So instead of going through the same list of items, I have annotated, highlighted some of the things that stood out to me in the discussion that we had on the urban development. So looking at the current situation, we all know that there are clear measurable benefits about using Earth observation solutions for urban challenges, as there are for all the other sectors that we've heard about this morning. But the key thing is the EO community, the Earth observation community, knows these benefits very well, but the urban planners don't. And that's going to be some of the gist of my discussion here. There was a little delay. Yep, there we go. So looking at the maturity versus adoption, just like you've seen in the previous presentation, one of the things that I noted in especially in the urban sector, but again, I'm sure that applies to some of the other sectors too, is a fragmentation on both sides of supply and demand of Earth observation solutions in the urban area. There's a fragmentation in solutions. There's many great solutions that have been built for urban challenges, for very specific cities or municipalities, for single solutions. And on the other side of the equation, cities themselves are very fragmented in the sense that they don't always talk to each other. They don't always learn from each other about the benefits of Earth observation. So what I'm saying here is that Earth observation is not ready to be mass implemented in cities at scale. And this is really the message that I'm going to convey throughout the rest of my presentation as a message to you, the Earth observation sector, that yes, the future is bright, as we heard this morning, but a lot of work is still to be done. So what holds back organizations to use Earth observation data? And we've seen numerous examples already, and I'm sure Lucy, as the last speaker, is going to show us a few more. And that's no different in the urban organization. And this kind of summarizes it quite well, is the ability isn't there because the technology is still not mature enough. And that links to what I said previously, is there is work to be done to make it mature enough and to make it usable for users in the urban area. Yes. So the future vision on EO applications in urban areas, I'll just summarize it by this yellow comment here, is the Earth observation community needs to develop urban user-friendly products. And that really summarizes all these points, and all the details are in our report, and I'll be more than happy to share that with you if you want later on. Yes. The necessary conditions and the supporting factors are not so different in urban areas than in other areas that we've seen. And I've kind of highlighted some of the key words for you to take home. So simple solutions, making the benefits and the solutions clear to the users. Earth observation in itself, as we've heard already this morning, is reliable from the source. It is digital from the source. It is reliable data. We just have to convince the users of that reliability and of that usability. It is global in nature. Cities are not, but Earth observation data is. A solution that we develop for one city is often very applicable to many other cities around the world. And it's just about bringing that message, taking that message across to other areas. We need more events. Well, my role as an evangelist, I attend these events, but we need more events to tell these stories. And I call it urban legends, because we need urban legends in the sense that we need stories, success stories about cities implementing these things. And we need to have fun doing it. So I took out two examples that I think are good, but need maybe some development. We hopefully all aware of this booklet that was presented a few years ago by an organization called NEREOS, the Organization for Space Regions in Europe, with 100 examples, really good examples of Earth observation solutions for different industries. And if you don't have it, I recommend you to download it. It's available for free. It's a PDF on the NEREOS website. But I'm also going to be a little bit critical, because this booklet, although it's great, it's very academic. It is not written in the language of the user, and it needs another step. So if the representatives of NEREOS are here, this is great work, but it needs a little bit of work to make it accessible. And accessibility, as we've heard, is one of the issues. The other is an example of an organization, a Czech startup that works on things like heat islands and solutions for cities that are often presented in the language. It's an example of how to present these solutions in the language of the user. So have a look at the Eco10 website that have great solutions for Earth observation in particular cities. And I know they're here, so see if you can meet them. So some of the key actions: make Earth observation the logical solution. Earth observation data applies to many different challenges, so make it the solution of choice by making it the cheapest, the easiest, the fastest, whatever is needed to increase user uptake, and make it simple. Make it such that people can pick it up without having to go to Earth Observation University for 4 years before they understand how to work it. So in summary, Earth observation offers real solutions for real urban problems, but not enough people know about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Remco. So on the note of speaking the same language and spreading success stories, I'm giving the word to our last speaker. This is Lucy Kennedy, and she's going to introduce us about the infrastructure focus groups.
Thank you very much. I don't know at school, but there was a phrase, Lucy last. So here I am again, going last. So I'll go a little bit off track as well, so that we don't get bored. So, yep. Okay, so what's driving in terms of the users that were at our workshop, who were a broad range of infrastructure experts, some with a lot of knowledge on EO and some with very little. So we were quite a nice range of people. Basically, the top three benefits are basically understanding the risk and condition of the assets, and also operational efficiency. And I'm also really pleased to see that my sector now sees themselves as being responsible for the environment and the impact they have on the environment, and they can see EO helping on that one. And they see it as EO as being a super cost-efficient way for monitoring infrastructure at large scale. Many of our users really have hundreds of thousands of kilometers of assets, or hectares, or numbers of different units all over the place. So EO is magical for solutions at scale. And it is a key enabling technology for, the race to net zero and the environmental risks and challenges that we have ahead. It's interesting to see that they don't see regulation as driving them yet, but we'll see more about that with the Green Deal discussions tomorrow, because there is a whole raft of regulations heading their way that is going to drive things. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. And interesting to see that revenue is not the driver. For my sector, it's about making better decisions at the right time, faster, quicker, cost efficiency of O&M activities. So similar slide to lots of other people. Maturity is low, but they do view the need for adoption of EO within the sector as really high. So let's dig into that a little bit. So we are currently selling our technology. We are not selling services in the strictest sense. We are not meeting exactly the user needs. And that's about the way we talk about our technology and our service. That's the way we market ourselves. That's the way we price things. It's the whole gamut of how we look at ourselves. So we really need to look ourselves strictly there. But, the infrastructure sector has real problems and willingness to play. So it's a great sector to play in. And I think things that are going to help us, actually, I'll come on to that in the next slide. We'll cover that. So what's holding the infrastructure sector back? And it is, motivation is there, need is there. It's really about the fact, don't make us need to handle this data or be experts in this data. Don't just give us the images. It's even bigger than that. Don't just give us the pretty colored analytics. We need the numbers. When you have hundreds of thousands of kilometers of network, a map with dots of where the problems are is no good. You need to integrate into our existing asset management solutions. Okay. So if we look ahead to the future, and all of these things are great places where EO can and will play. So planning and decision, better integration into existing software that infrastructure clients are using, industry standards for land motion monitoring solutions, and this links to other things that we need to be able to certify the quality and the reliability of our analytics. That's a real challenge for this sector, but it's also a need of our clients, so we do need to tackle that one. And of course, as we provide digital, high frequency updated solution, we enable our clients to move from responsive or reactive interventions to predictive interventions. And that's really the stage where they want to get to with their digitalization and predictive maintenance goals. And I think if we kind of envision that a little bit further, it's perfectly normal, no surprise to you. Sales and marketing departments will sit down every quarter and they will decide their spend on LinkedIn and Google adverts and what data analytics subscriptions they're going to renew each year. That's where we need to get to. Asset managers need to be doing the same. They want to look at and say, what's my spend this quarter on remote monitoring solutions? And I on purpose don't call it EO, because that is absolutely meaningless to the sector that I work in. We need to talk in their language. There we go. So on the left, you've got things that us as a sector need to do better, to meet the needs of our customers and to move forward quicker. And on the right, we've got the things that are helping us, the waves that are going to carry us towards the shore and the beautiful end goal. And I guess things I'll pick up on is clients, yeah, they've got money to do innovation projects, but they need to have a clear understanding of what future operational costs are, and we need to get comfortable with being able to tell them that. And in my sector, free open source data doesn't cut it for at least 50% of the use cases. And I think in the past, we have disappointed by trying to provide solutions that ultimately didn't meet the needs of the customer. So we've got to feel comfortable with commercial data and high resolution. And also, the certification piece comes back as well. But things that are going to help us, new regulations, all the work that Earth does in terms of success stories and promoting us, that's all really important. One winner means we're all winners together, and it's really good for the sector. I'm not going to talk this one because I think we've talked it. So here, my battle cry, I've said it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it when you talk to me later on, is we must provide services, not technology. But there is a beautiful future out there. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thank you very much, Lucy, and also the rest of our EO Evangelists for sharing these insights with us today. As you see, there's many sector-specific issues and particularities, but there's also some commonalities across the sector. And then we can come back to our question. So why don't we see mass adoption of Earth observation yet? Well, as you've heard throughout the different presentations, there is a gap in the value chain between the EO companies and their end users. The products and services being offered are not always matching the needs. And it's not just about data, it's about the applications and about the integration with the processes. Moreover, often there's little understanding between the business of the sector and what Earth observation can do, and that goes in two ways across it. Other things like a lack of trust or a lack of awareness are also playing in that. And finally, there's also those applications that are on the verge of the technology and that require a new generation of satellites being launched or a new era of data processing. So all of this will, of course, also be summarized in our reports, which we can read later. But there's another aspect to it as well. Now that we know sort of why don't we see the mass adoption yet, we can also think about action.
Yes. I want to finalize with some of the common actions that we identified across all the sectors. And these include, for example, the addition of Earth observation within regulatory frameworks for easing the access of it and including it as an option. More certification instances for the validation of the data accuracy and the efficiency. Incorporating more EO in university curriculums, as already stated, and also in relevant courses to the industries. EO products that match the user needs of the end users in the sectors, and also, as Benoit just said, making it more integratable into existing frameworks and combining it with other data sets. Thank you for listening, and I hope this will help to raise also the awareness on EO in the industry.